Innovation is in our veins. Soon the whole world will know our names. Sharing our knowledge and freedom reign. We here for the people, you know it's our way. Setting foundations is part of the dream. It doesn't matter if you're new to the game. Listen up now, cause we all gon' say, elevate, 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 higher, elevate, 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 higher. We gon' rise up, we all gon' shine. Work through adversity, stay on the grind. Elevate, elevate, this is our time. Elevate, elevate.
Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, everyone. It's so great to have you all on one more time. It's your boy, Josh
Dalton.
And we're grateful to be back on with you yet again. We got some stuff planned for you. We're excited about it. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, man.
We got our friend Adrianna coming on later, who is really heavy into the social media marketing game, as well as music artist. Wow, it's almost the same guest as last week.
Yeah.
But we promise that she does more than that as well. She's got a lot on the go, but we're excited to hear from her a little bit later in her journey to where she's planning on going. Yeah. So excited about that. But to start off, we got some drama going on in the country as per usual.
Only drama for certain people.
Yeah. The drama I want to get into to start off, because it was so funny, is the government-funded media and the CBC.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, where was the lie?
Right.
I just didn't understand that this. I didn't. Not that I understand. I didn't think that this would be such a big deal.
I was considering what happened with the PBS. I think also the BBC as well. Yeah. They got tagged with it as well. I was curious at how CBC was going to react when they got tagged with it,
because neither of those organizations had near the reaction CBC did.
No,
like not even remotely close.
Actually, no. PBS. It was PBS and NPR. Those.
Oh,
that's right. They came at them pretty hard. Like BBC sent a reporter over to Elon Musk to interview him all about it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right.
And then so everyone was getting all hot and bothered about it. And what has been interesting is the fact that CBC and those who claim to be part of the establishment media are out protecting CBC, saying this is egregious, this is disgusting, how dare you? A
threat to democracy and if, like, the effects on free speech will be like detrimental sort of thing. Like, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is also interesting is that it said government funded. It didn't say state affiliated. No one said it was state media.
Nope. And well, that was kind of how this all started, right? Was they initially had like the state media tag, and then I think it was BBC, PBS got really upset, and it's like, okay, fine, it's government funded media. Let's change the tag to.
Yeah.
Then that's when, after that, he slapped it on the CBC Twitter account, and that's when chaos ensued. You had people like Rachel Gilmore coming out crying about it, and so the argument then that came out of the CBC was like, we're not fully government funded. We're only like 70% government funded.
Yeah, less than 70%.
Yeah. And so he was like, okay, so Elon put, all right, you're now 70% government funded. That was literally what the tag says. We have the tweets.
69.
Yeah. Well, we're getting there.
Oh.
He had it at 70%, and someone just kind of chimed in with like, come on, man, give him the benefit of the doubt. 69. He's like, yeah, you're right. 69%. Government funded. So you got...
That's why it happened?
That's exactly what happened.
Oh, I love that. This is beyond disturbing.
Yeah, so this is Rachel Gilmore's perspective on it, and who is an ex-reporter of Global News. She's now on her own now. So she retweeted Pierre Poilievre's tweet about CBC being tagged with government-funded media. And she's like, this is beyond disturbing. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is calling a national Canadian news organization propaganda and not news. This is a craven attack on the truth, democracy, and accountability. Is the pursuit of power worth it?
Gag.
Oh man, there's two Rachel Gilmore's like one of three things. Either she's completely out to lunch, or two, that she's in on it and just wants to maintain her power as a journalist in this country.
Right.
Or three, she's an absolute moron.
Right.
Like, there's no, like, and I tend to lean to number two, that she's
getting something.
Yeah, she's getting something out of
some sort of reason to protect them.
She believes in the system. She's benefited from the system, even though she claims she hasn't.
Right.
That's why the whole her getting ousted by Global News, I thought was really interesting.
Right.
Because
we talked about that.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was on the show or not, but I remember we did talk about it.
I think we did.
And she got ousted, and that's when like Global News started doing more like started going after the Canadian government more, started talking about like mainstream
serious things
stuff, and not just, you know, taking the party line on it, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And so anyways, there was another tweet I saw. I don't know. I don't think I included it. But I'm going to pull it up here. And it was just kind of funny because people were getting, again, hot and bothered about this whole situation, what's going on, and the whole, you know, 69 joke came out.
Yes.
And Rachel Gilmore was definitely not happy about that one. But either way, there was somebody, I guess I didn't save it. But anyways, there was somebody who, you know, posted a video of Trudeau coming out against Pierre Poilievre saying, hey, we, you know, this man's run to American billionaires to, you know, attack CBC, this, that, the other. And so, and he was doing this whole speech in front of like a backdrop that was sponsored by Ericsson, which is like the cell phone company.
Oh, who is Ericsson?
And Elon comments on the tweet. He's like, why is he mad? Why is Eric's son
Sponsoring the event.
So it was just stuff like that. Like Elon was just completely and utterly trolling the CBC. And I was here for it because it's been a long time coming.
This to me was just common knowledge. I mean, and also the CBC released a bar graph today. Did you see that bar graph?
I don't think so.
So they're saying that purple, it means government funded, blue means revenue. So they're saying right here in 2018, 2019, they were revenued 500 million, which is a much larger portion. Hopefully this will make it on screen, is a much larger portion than the purple part of government funding. But if you look at the side, it goes from 700 million and then has the little squiggles, which means like there's a big gap here, to 1.7 billion. They just skipped $1 billion.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, are you kidding?
Dude, when I first saw this, they almost caught me with that one too. I was like, oh, it really wasn't as much as I thought it was.
The full total is only 1.7 billion and government funded portion was 1.2 billion of it.
Yep. So their revenue was only just shy of 500 million.
490.1 million. And of that, it's made up of advertising, financing, and other income and subscriber fees. And advertising revenue is made up of digital and television.
Yep. And this is stuff that like
the rest is just from the government.
It's crazy.
And they just totally manipulated numbers to make the bar graph look smaller.
Not only did they manipulate numbers, they manipulated visual design.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They didn't manipulate numbers at all. They manipulated the design.
Yeah.
To I guess, trick us. I mean, why else would you do that?
Well, let's think about it. I'll come at you from a UX perspective design. This is what we're taught, is that we always need to visually communicate because we always, as people, we read shapes and colors before we ever read words.
Yes.
That's just naturally the progression we go through. So that they're, preying on that about us is like, we'll read the graph and realize, okay, purple, small, blue, big, and then
we look at the legend.
Yeah, and we look at the legend, and we won't actually look at the numbers on the side. And I'll be honest, I was a victim of this myself. When I first saw this, I was like, oh, it's not as much as I thought it was. And then it wasn't until you brought this up right now that I was like, wait a second, what?
Oh, you didn't know that's what I was going to say?
I did not know that's where we're going with it.
Oh.
Like, I kind of just like, I saw the graph and I was like, there's something there's off about it, but I didn't have the time to really look into it at the time.
Yeah.
But now seeing it now, I'm like, shoot, they really just tried to really skew that.
It's really stupid because they legally, like, there's advertising practices in Canada which say they legally have to put the number that's backing these graphs. How stupid is it to have a section that's smaller than the blue one and put the revenues right next to each other? Do they think we're dumb? They put 490 million next to 1.213 billion. The conflicting colors I don't think is helpful either.
This
was very hard to interpret.
Worst design I've seen in my life.
And they put the older years on that end.
Yeah.
To make it look like, I would assume, that they increased their amount of revenue over time. Because you would assume that it would go chronologically.
That's exactly what they did.
So I can only assume they did that to make it look like revenue had increased over time. But that's actually the years prior.
That is so greasy. There are so many things wrong with this.
It's insane.
That is psychotic, dude. And
it is insane.
Could we?
Yeah, see, the revenue was what? $83 billion more that year. 83 million. So they put it on that side.
Gee, dude.
That's crazy.
Dude, I'll leave it at that, man. That's actually bonkers. And so then you wonder, CBC put that out. Let's go back to, all right, how much are you funded?
Yeah.
Like why are you lying? Why are you trying to, or sorry, not lying. Why are you intentionally misleading people?
I want to see, they say they're less than 70% government funded, right?
Yep, that's what they say.
Okay, 1 second. I'm just going to do a quick percentage calculation here. So that is, 0.28. So it's,
it's about roughly.
Yeah. So they're not lying, at least. Well, yeah, that's less than.
Sorry, they're more than 70%.
They're 71%.
Oh yeah, that would be 71.3
1.2.
or whatever. 1.2. Oh, dude.
Oh, gee.
Wow.
The thing I love about this is the fact that
They are lying.
they were
gosh.
they're so mad about this label, and then they come out with a deceitful chart, and then you wonder why.
And
people
then
don't
this
trust
person,
you.
what was her name? Rachel Gilmore's talking about, what were her keywords I think are interesting, which were accountability, truth, and democracy. So if you take democracy out, she's talking about accountability and truth.
Let's start with that chart.
It's really
some
interesting.
accountability and truth would be nice.
Really interesting.
And so I'm cheering this on. I think it needs to be. It needed to be said.
And they could have just said a whole lot of nothing and it would be no big deal. But they've made themselves, it's like the classic thing with the government right now is they make it so much bigger than it has to be. And then they look so dumb.
They do look dumb.
Like you are government funded. Where is the lie?
Well, that's the thing that they came out with is like, this is where it gets frustrating for me because what they do is like Trudeau said it himself was, we have community-based CBC stations that are trying to like relay news and they are completely independent is what he said. And they are just trying to push stories. And the funding the CBC gets from the government has nothing to do or even somewhat taints the stories that they're going to push. That's what they're claiming, is that they're completely independent from what their funding is.
How can that be when your boss is it's a governmental party?
They think we're stupid.
How can that be? I just don't get how that can be.
No, like way it can be is they think we're dumb. And I'm a dumb person. I fell for some of these tricks too. Like holy jumping.
It's nuts.
So
nuts.
And what's interesting amongst all of this is what I'm thinking, the reason why they're going so hard on this is to take light away from what's going on with the CRA public servant strike.
Oh, you mean like so you're thinking make this a bigger deal because we can manage this fire, but we cannot manage this one?
No, yeah, because Trudeau has a scapegoat. He's called Polyev. Essentially, he didn't say these words, but essentially he's calling Polyev Elon's lapdog, and he's getting help from foreign entities to attack institutions in Canada. Like that's how he's painting it. So that's what Trudeau does best. Is he creates an enemy of the people.
Yep.
He's like Polyev's a bad man. Look what he's doing to our country. Look what he's doing to our institutions. And then it just takes the spotlight off of Trudeau and what he's funded the CBC, and if that's kind of skewed messaging, and we can then not focus on the fact that these public servants, CRA, are getting paid next to nothing. And especially after Trudeau's thrown a bunch of money overseas and all these different projects.
Billions of dollars.
And he's not willing to pay the people that are collecting the funds to disperse that he's dispersing. And I will start off by saying, so people who if you haven't happened to have heard yet, thousands of federal public servants across country have begun their strike, and who knows, they might have resolved this by the time this airs. We'll see. But more than 155,000 federal public servants are on strike after the federal government and the Public Service Alliance of Canada failed to reach a deal before Tuesday evening deadline. The announcement came after two bargaining groups representing a significant part of the government workforce entered a legal strike position last week. So.
Yeah, man, this one is interesting because, like we said before the show, I get it. I do get it. It's hard to watch so much money be thrown around, and then you have been told for the last, I think, almost 3 years that there's no money for you, no extra money for you. That's kind of suck a little,
especially when you see so much of it leaving your country.
Well, exactly. It's an easier pill to. Well, it's not really easier, but it's maybe more acceptable that MPs and the Prime Minister get more money, and even then, I don't think it is. but I think it's better compared to money going to the Ukraine. Especially when you've got the president of the Ukraine, Zelensky, who's now up on like being investigated for what's the word that has to do with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the word. It's embezzlement charges or embezzlement fraud. They're looking into him for that now. What? Where did our money go?
Seriously, especially after that thing that came out on Discord.
A what?
Yeah, was it the
Discord's crazy, man.
some guy declassified documents that were just on Discord for the longest time from the Pentagon about what
The Pentagon had documents on Discord. I hate this world. I hate this world.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it was essentially a document that was essentially these were classified documents that were referring to what was going on over in Russia and the Ukraine over there. Sorry, the battle between Ukraine and Russia. And essentially the documents highlighted that we've been getting our butts absolutely handed to us by Russia, and we just keep funneling money to a losing cause.
Wow.
So the man behind the massive leak of U.S. government secrets that has exposed spying on allies revealed the grim prospects for Ukraine's war with Russia and ignited diplomatic fires for the White House as a young, charismatic gun enthusiast who shared highly classified documents with a group of far-flung acquaintances searching for companionship amid the isolation of the pandemic. United by their mutual love of guns, military gear, and God, the group of roughly 24, mostly men and boys, formed an invitation-only clubhouse in 2020 on Discord, an online platform popular with gamers. But they paid little attention last year when the man some call OG posted a message laden with strange acronyms and jargon. The words were unfamiliar. A few people read the long note. One of the members explained, but he revered OG, the elder leader of their tiny tribe, who claimed to know secrets that the government withheld from ordinary people.
Wow. And it was on Discord.
Yeah, for months. I didn't catch, it was in there for months. So
it's hard to see things like that and then be okay with not getting a raise.
Yeah.
Especially when I've also always thought about the name public servant. Like, what a name to be a servant to the public. So, they are doing the lowest of the low work for the government. Like, they are doing the hard work. They're the ones they're tax people. They generally hate their life. They're typing numbers all day. Like, that's what they do. For good reason. It does run the country. Like, the country's a big business. So some of those jobs are really important. I do wonder how many of those jobs we actually need. Like, are there fluff jobs? Because the government obviously is like, will hire pretty much anyone for any reason. So,
I mean, the government's the number one employer in Ottawa. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, businesses were dying for the government to come back to work. So, I wonder if there could be like a slimming of the amount of jobs, but regardless, I get why they're upset, because normally I hate strikes. Like, I'm just like, ugh, what a pain. Like, it's obnoxious, but I get it.
Yeah.
I also fear that the government may just legislate them back to work.
True.
And that never really goes well.
No. We need the revenue, so we need to get back to work so you start collecting it, because it's tax time.
They planned the strike perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly. But, yeah, I don't know. I've seen the protesters today in multiple locations, and they're out there strong, man.
Yeah, they're fired up. We'll see if this gets stretched out. I'm curious if they'll keep the vigor over the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, I mean, you said it as well. I'm not really. My dream scenario is this keeps dragging out. The longer that the government can't do its work, the happier I am, because they're off my back. So,
whatever.
You guys fix whatever's going on between y'all, and I'm just gonna be over here
doing my thing.
Yeah. Enjoy my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, thought it was interesting. What I thought was kind of leading, I guess, into another vein is kind of where our country's at, period, when it comes to like who's in power. So you got the Liberals are in power, who are propped up at the NDP. And then Jagmeet Singh came out today.
Oh, I know.
you know.
This is so funny.
Suggesting a tax of CEOs, excessive wealth, with whatever that means.
Yeah, there was no definitive to what excessive wealth means or excessive salaries.
Exactly. Well, let's listen to the man himself. I'll be curious to see if we can get some clarity from his little speech here.
His little speech.
What we're proposing today is to put in place a tax on the excess salaries of CEOs. And what this bill will propose to do is to finally say clearly that if you can afford to pay CEOs exorbitant salaries, then you should increase the wages of workers. This is to decrease inequality. This is to force companies to stop the inequality that continues to grow. 25 years ago, the gap between what the median income of a worker at a company and the CEO was about 100 times difference in salary. Today, the average is 243, over 240 times. Massive increase over 25 years. And then we've got some egregious examples. One example, I'm sure you're not surprised I'm going to give you, is Galen Weston, who earns 431 times more than the median income of someone at his company. And so what we're proposing is an incentive. If corporations ensure that there's less gap between the median income of a worker there, or between workers and the CEOs, if there's less gap, they will not have to contribute higher tax. But if there's a massive gap, they can afford to pay a huge salary for their CEO, then they can afford to contribute more so that Canadians can have more support and more resources. And that's what we're proposing today.
That's interesting. And I think there was someone talking about American tax law the other day. And what they said was you can increase, it was AOC talking about how she wants to increase taxes on billionaires because in history there has been income tax upwards of 70%. And a financial historian of the United States went to speak, and he was looking through old tax records. And he said there's something that's very similar and repeatable among business people back then and today, and that is they don't draw a salary. they own, like for example, Mark Zuckerberg last year I think made $431 million in a day, but it was only through unrealized gain of his stock value.
Yeah.
So there's no tax on that. And something else that can happen just as easily is Galen Weston is stepping down as CEO. So now he's no longer CEO. You think he's going to take less money though? No.
Well, the things I thought were intriguing about these points were, one, he talked about the gap between CEO and the median income.
Right.
And he's like, 25 years ago, this, that, the other, that it was less.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we looked at the salary or the per hour payment of someone working at Superstore, say,
mm-hmm.
I think they're getting close. I think minimum wage now is like close to $13.50, $14 an hour.
I thought it was going up to 15.
They're trying to get to 15.
I think it's up to 15 now.
Yeah. Oh, is
Yeah,
it now 15?
I think, yeah.
So what was it 25 years ago?
I don't know.
I don't know. It was like probably close to $5-6.
Let's see.
Probably $7 an hour.
Minimum wage now is $14.50. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then just do 2000. Federal minimum wage was $7.
Yeah.
But in Nova Scotia, I'm just curious, just for gigs. $8.25.
$8.25.
Wow.
Was it? No. That's Northwest Territories.
Oh, I'm so sorry. $6.50.
580. 2000. That's 2004. So it would have been $5.86 back in 2000. So 25 years ago, minimum wage $5.80.
Yeah. Wow.
Today it's $14.50. So if we're looking at just dollars right now, people are making more money now. And so his point was the gap is increasing. I'm like, that's ridiculous. That shouldn't be happening. How does our minimum wage go from $5.80 to $14.50? How does the amount that a CEO is taking go from X to Y?
Right.
There's really only one reason. It's been the printing of money and inflation.
Right. You're right.
Because of government programs trying to get in the way, trying to keep flooding money into the economy, has caused this problem.
Yeah.
So Jagmeet, what you're proposing has already been done, and this is why we're here. Because people like you keep devaluing our dollar. Your suggestion absolutely sucks. So I just being honest. And so I'm more of a proponent of like, how do we lower inflation? How can we
make people's money worth more?
Exactly. We got to, increase the goods that people are providing. We need to make sure that like the supply and demand is starting to get back into a reasonable degree, which we're not seeing with our housing, unfortunately. But that's just like, these are the solutions we need. We don't need more money printing. We don't need more incentives. We don't need these things. How do we get our money supply in check is the question. And it was funny. I was watching an interview with Ron Paul, which is Rand Paul's father. And he's like, those who don't know him, he's like the OG, like bipartisan individual. Like I think he was always kind of a Republican, but he was like always super like bipartisan. Like he just, whatever he could to like kind of work with both sides is kind of his thing. And so, but he was talking about how he feels like it was an interesting perspective. He said the end of the American dream was like 1914 when they introduced the Federal Reserve.
Right.
And I was like, interesting perspective. When, you had a central banking system involved and printing money was starting to become more normal and devalue people's currencies. So my point is people were never going to get upset. People get upset if you say, you know what, you've been doing the same work for us, but now we're going to give you less money.
Yes.
But how do big companies give their employees less money without them getting upset? Government prints more money. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what we're running into. And the issue we're running into is big, huge companies are really, the ones calling the shots right now. They're in bed with people like Trudeau, and they're screwing over the little guy.
Yep.
So that's what's happening. How do we get around it? We'll get into it with our next guest.
Yeah.
But, there's things we can do and try to keep trying to claw ahead. Obviously, we can continue putting pressure on our politicians, keep having these conversations, making people like Mr. Fisher a little uncomfortable, making people like Fraser a little uncomfortable, and make them want to side with us rather than always siding with the big boy Trudeau in Ottawa.
Yeah.
These are some things to think about.
Yeah.
And on top of that, continue to grind and hustle your business, dog. Let's go.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are like against like hustle culture, which I get. I think there is, like I've always said, there's nothing absolutely wrong with like just focusing on a career and clocking out and doing your thing. But you can open a lot of financial doors if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like as we're talking, the way things have been going is screwing over the regular person who just wants a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And if you don't want that life, there's a way. It sucks, but there's a way to get around it. And that's, why the other side of things we talk about on the show is talking about business and talking about ways that you can kind of get those side hustles going.
Yeah.
Make some extra money. And so that's why we're excited to have Adrianna come on the show here.
Yeah.
And we'll have that discussion, and that will be starting shortly.
Jeez.
See you over there. All right. So let's give a brief introduction. We got Adrianna here, who is an awesome, very creative person. You're an awesome person to talk to. A lot of fun. Got a billion things on the go. We're going to get into all of them tonight. But like, how old are you first off? Are you like 12?
I'm 21.
21. So switch the numbers.
12.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, good job.
But no, so we're excited to have you. You're super young. And so the first thing people are going to say, because we've had one guy on, it's Hunter Butts, who I think was 21 at the time as well, who was doing a lot of cool things in real estate. The first thing people are going to say is like, oh, not another kid who thinks they know everything. And do you feel like you know everything first off?
Oh, man. No.
Okay, that's a good thing. That's humility. We love humility.
Yeah. I mean, like, you give me a topic, I'll do my best, but I'm not an expert in anything. I don't think that I could be an expert in fully anything just because I'm in love with so many different things. And so yeah.
But you're willing to learn about anything.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm a big learner. I'm like lifelong learner. If I could put that on top of my head, that's,
right. It's a valuable skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a characteristic of really any CEO, entrepreneur. That's just kind of how we roll, especially, but you're also like a huge creative type, and there's a bunch of things you're in. So I know you're writing a book, you're doing music, you're getting into DJing, your social media stuff. You're also doing classes for social media marketing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, holy jumping. Let's just, how many more things can we add to this list?
Here, I just need to make sure, because I wrote a list because I forget, because I do so many things.
Oh, no. Santa Claus over here.
Okay, let me just think for a deep second. So, I do music. I'm writing a book right now. I do like mindset coaching and life coaching as well. That's like a new thing that I just got into. Yeah, so I do the DJing. I do photography, videography. Yeah, that is a lot.
That's a lot. But like, I'm curious about this life coaching stuff.
Yeah, so
yeah, tell me about like who are your clients?
Yeah, so what I'm trying to do right now is like, so I'll start off. So I met this one friend. He's super great, super cool. I got on a Zoom call and I said, if you ever need help with any social media things, like reach out to me. Like I'd love to get on a call. And he was like, yeah, let's call tonight, 7:30 p.m. So we get on this call. It's going great. And we talk until 5 a.m. And I'm like, wow. And so we just talked about life and mindset and all of those things. And I loved it. Like I'm a very spiritual person as well. And so we were talking about like, spirituality and like just all of these life things like stoicism and like, I love stoicism.
We are huge stoicism fans out here.
Yeah. And so is he. And I was like, man, you are so cool. And he's like, yeah, I want to start a podcast. And so we're doing these things together. Like he has his own program. And it's kind of just like a 90-day challenge of reaching your goals and becoming yourself and being your own hero in a way. And so it's really inspired me to like do this kind of stuff because now he's doing his podcast. Like his 3rd episode came out today.
Hey.
And so
Are we going to plug it?
Yeah, we're going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's such a great human and like, oh my gosh. And so now I've just become super passionate with it because I didn't really know life coaching and mindset coaching was a thing. And I'm like, that is so me. I've always been that friend where, people come up to you and they're like, hey, like I need to tell you something, like this stuff is going on. And so, I've been like the school therapist, all my friends would just come to me and tell me the things, but I don't know. I don't necessarily give advice. I just talk with them to impact them and let them come to a sense of like, okay, here's what I need to do for myself to make my days better. And, because I don't want to look at them and say, oh, like you need to change your sleep schedule and you need to eat this food. I'll say like, how much do you sleep and how much do you want to sleep? Like, any prompt in the world. But like, I've always been
Gwyneth
that
Paltrow.
type of person that's been like, let's talk. And so I've just been doing it naturally lately. I'll have someone tell me something and I'm like, oh yeah, let's talk about goals. Like, let's get into it. I'm like, what do you want in life? Cause you're going to do it. Like, and I've been so passionate about it because of how my life has flipped. And so I look at where I was and where I am now. And I'm like, I want people to feel the way that I feel because it's so empowering for me. And it's been such a motivational part of my life because I was in a spot at one time where I wasn't okay. And now I'm, the happiest I've ever been in my life because I was able to, do all the things and I'm living some of my dreams right now. And so if I can do that for other people and like share the feeling, then like that makes me feel full and fulfilled.
What are the things?
The things.
What did you do?
What did I do? Well, I'll start kind of in the beginning, like back when I was younger. I was actually a very isolated person. I didn't really get out much. My anxiety would get the best of me, depression, things like that. And so I would stay inside. I wouldn't go anywhere. And it wasn't until I had like my first boyfriend when I was like, oh, I'm going to go to a boy's house. And so I go there and I'm completely freaking out, feeling like I'm going to throw up. And I just kind of pushed myself to do that. And then that's kind of where that started. But, you know, I didn't really do much. I had all this creativeness inside of me. Like I was an artist. Like I did a lot of portraits of animals or like people, and I would sell them. And I did a lot of art contests. Like I've won 13 art contests within like high school, and 2 of those was first place in Canada. And so that was something, like winning those kept me doing that type of stuff. But I just always had this thing inside my mind that's like, you know, you could never be that person. Like you're not going to be famous, or you're not going to make music. And those were all dreams. And so meeting people was part of it, but it was hard going from, you know, I was in a very tough relationship and I wasn't able to get out there enough. And I didn't really have like a good relationship with parents or friends. Like I didn't have that. And so
we established that you're young. You're 21. And you've already kind of feels you've lived a lot of life. You've gone through a lot.
Yeah.
You talked about the situation with like came out of a tough relationship.
Yeah.
What do you feel like was taken from you in that, and what were you able to kind of learn about yourself and try to, you know, push forward on and grow in from there?
Well, when I was in social work, it definitely helped me understand that I was in a toxic relationship because, you know, I was so young, and that was, you know, my first big real relationship that was, you know, like a serious relationship. And so learning about, you know, what is manipulation? What is gaslighting? Childhood development, like what are things that happened to me as a child that are kind of being put out in my personality with a relationship type thing. And so I've always had trust problems. And so I was cheated on in that relationship, and that really hurt me and made me feel as though like I wasn't able to be loved or things like that. And so there was also, you know, abuse. There was, you know, verbal, physical. And so all of these things I didn't understand were wrong. And I stayed in this relationship because I'm like, okay, this is what I feel comfortable with. It's this person, and I'm always with him. I'm always like, I was living with him. We had a dog together, and things were really getting serious. And I was in this situation where I felt like I couldn't leave, because if I did, I would lose so much. But at the same time, I was being hurt, and I couldn't find that balance. I was just kind of like, you know, he's not going to hurt me again. Like, he loves me. He says he loves me, and he's going to keep loving me. And, you know, he says sorry every time, so that means it's fine. And so I stay in the relationship, and the person's like, oh, yes, I will change. And it's kind of just like I was too in love with this person in hopes that they would change when really they weren't going to. And, you know, some people are just people. Like, that's who they are. And I kind of just kept telling myself, no, stay. He's going to change. And at one point, it was really good for a while. I was like, oh, he didn't lie to me. Like, he's going to stay, and it's going to be all good, and we're not going to fight, and nothing's going to happen. And then it got bad again. And I told myself, I'm like, okay, I've left like 10 times. Like, this is enough now. Like, I need to understand this is bad for me. I'm only ever feeling terrible when I'm stuck in this relationship. Like, I need to branch out and be myself, because I realized, you know, every time I left this person, it's been so great. Like, I will branch out and do so many different things. Like, I will leave them, and then I'll go out and buy stuff to make rings, and then I'll start making rings. Like, I just feel creative. I feel myself, and I don't feel like I have a block there. And so that was one thing that kind of led me to break up, was kind of like, you know, I found myself being more productive when I wasn't around this person. I found myself being more myself. I've been saying that a lot, but like,
We love being ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious then, because do you find that because of the, like, how long was this relationship? How long did it last for?
5 years.
5 years. So 5 years not really being able to be yourself, 5 years not being able to try different things. Do you find now that's why you feel like you've kind of branched out into so many different things?
Oh, yeah.
That's part of it.
Like making up for lost time kind of thing.
Yes, 100%.
Are you worried at all that you're going to kind of like branch out too far and then become master of none?
Yeah, 100%. Like sometimes I get scared that, you know, because I do so many things. So I'm at the point right now, like I'm kind of struggling with what I want to do 100%. Like, you know, I just call myself a multimedia artist because there's so many different forms of media that I'm doing, and I can't pick one. And, you know, there's this mindset coaching stuff that I love, and it really makes me feel fulfilled. And I'm always telling myself, you know, do what you love and the money will follow. Like, just find what you love and you can make money doing what you love in some type of way. There's so many freaking jobs out there. Like, you can, you know, if I love writing, you know, I'm going to get into a writing job. Like, I'm going to find something that incorporates writing and do that. Or,
Work
you know,
for CBC?
Yeah, 100%. No, no, nope, not me.
Let's go.
But I don't know. I think like with photography too. You know, I always love taking pictures and videos. I have high school vlogs.
Let's go.
Don't look them up,
Dude, we're looking them up.
Don't look them up.
Adrianna.
Yeah.
YouTube, on YouTube.
Oh, they're so bad. And
Dude, if it makes you feel better, I have a vlog series from back in the day too.
Oh my gosh. And see, well, and that's another thing. I'm so happy that I did them because they were before COVID. And it's all high school videos of us being stupid. And like, it's like, yo, what's up, guys? Like, we're here at school. Yeah. Like, we're here at school right now. Oh, like, we're chilling out at this parade right now. Like, I would just pull out my phone at random times and just take a video. And I look at myself now, I'm like, shit, I'm doing this for work now, but I did it for fun as a kid. And like,
yeah,
I would run around with my phone, be like, haha, like we're throwing cheese balls at the teacher. And like,
did that actually happen?
Yes. Yes. Like,
that's amazing.
And the editing is so stupid and funny. And so
iMovie Maker.
Yeah, it was literally iMovie. That's awesome. But yeah, like I just can't pick. I love everything. And I do say that to myself though. Like, I want to do the job that gives me the most fulfillment in life. And right now for me, that is like the mindset coaching and the life coaching, because, you know, you see people's reactions when you say some things and it's just like, wow. And I'm such an empathetic person. And I'm so like, I love to interact with people and make an impact. Like that's my motto. I'll probably say that a million times on this podcast, that I want to make an impact. That is my biggest thing. Is like, I don't care how I do it. I want that impact. Even if it's just 3 people, I don't care. If I change someone's life, hell yeah. Like I love that stuff. And so, yeah, I don't know.
That makes sense. I think the cool thing too is because, as you were saying, like, the issue that's happened, the reason why I keep bringing this up is because when we had Hunter Butts on a couple years back, one of his clips went like super viral. Like, it's been viewed, I think we're close to 9 million times.
Oh my God. Wow.
It did really well. And he was 21 who just like shared some advice about how to properly interview. Mm-hmm. But like, there's like, the small voices out there that get into like, oh man, not another 21-year-old guru who knows what they're talking about. And, but the thing, that's why I kind of want to highlight with you is that it's not like you're going up to 30-year-olds saying this is what it's like to raise kids.
Yeah.
You're just like, you're speaking from your own experiences and helping people who are your peers kind of get through what they're going through currently, which I think is something is a important factor to distinguish. Is like, you know, you've gone through some things and you've kind of learned some things through the process, and whoever you can help in the process is great. That's awesome. I think you might have some good clientele probably within the next week or so. I think there's about 20 guys who are going to need your help.
Oh,
Gosh.
when the Leafs are put out of the playoffs.
yeah.
Yeah, like Gonzos. But no, I had to throw that one in there. But these are some, those are interesting things. But you also talked about how the real reason we wanted you on the show is about something that didn't come to fruition, but want to hear what happened.
Oh, okay. I'm
Is you
interested.
Almost went to a content house in California.
Oh, yeah, Los Angeles. So I can probably talk about it now that I'm not going. I wasn't really allowed to talk about it because it was a secret in a way. Like, it wasn't out to the public. But so I have recently been connected with Jacob Sartorius. He's a music artist. He was born in Oklahoma, from Virginia. And so he's been doing music since he was young.
Yeah.
And so, Jacob and I go live on TikTok together. I met some really great people from Jacob. Like someone named Dempsey Hope. He also makes music. He's super cool. But yeah, like I was very lucky with the connections that I had. So I met someone named Gabe. He goes by the name G-Trill on TikTok. And Sam, who goes by the name Starstruck. And so they're both artists. And so they came up with this idea of a content house. And they were like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have this house and we're going to have artists come in. We'll fly them out. They'll come into this house, stay for 3 days, and we'll give them music video, vocal coaching, songs produced by, like Travis Scott's old roommate. And I was like, wow, I'm going to be living with these people. And so it was a lot at once because they wanted me to move in the span of like a month and a half. And so I kind of freaked out, but I was like, LA. I was like,
La La Land. I
want to go so bad. But at the same time, it's going to be a lot because we're going to have cameras rolling 24/7. And, I'm the type of person where I'm very social battery. And so I don't think that I could put on, my personality out there all the time. Like I need my downtime. I need to, I like to be independent and alone. That's one of my favorite things in the world. Being with myself is something that means a lot to me, especially after being out there so much when I was in this past relationship. And so, I just kind of want to wind down and do my healing and all of these things. And so I just kind of said to myself, like, is this the right thing to do right now? And I'm like, but I'm getting the opportunity and I want to go. And it was a really hard decision to make. But at the same time, I don't know, like, I'm so scared that it's going to be something big and that I'm going to miss out on it. And yeah, but.
Well, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no.
I was like, I'm curious, like, what the money situation was looking like, how were you going to get financed for this?
So, what would happen is I would get paid to do, so I would be vlogging, like, the house. I'd be the vlogger and the editor. And so
throwing cheese balls at people.
Exactly. And so, but it would have been a fun type of thing because we would have, we would bring these people out and we have designers there and we would like design them, or like just me vlogging us doing the recording of the song and just showing what we're doing in the house.
Right.
And so, I would be paid for doing that portion of it. And then I don't have to pay to stay at the house either. Like I don't have to pay rent or anything. I don't have to pay for food, nothing, transportation. So I wouldn't have to pay for anything. It's all covered. And then I would also on top of it get paid for doing the work.
Oh.
And so I was like,
that's pretty sick.
That's why I wanted to take the opportunity. But at the same time too, like I didn't have a passport. I still don't. And so yes.
You ain't getting
and
one
so
now.
well, I was supposed to get my passport today.
Yeah,
but
Trudeau said no.
Yeah, well, no, it was your guys' fault because I had to come on this podcast and get rid. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, shoot.
I'm kidding.
We're the problem. That's the reason why you're not going to.
Yeah, no, I was supposed to work this morning and my appointment was today to go get it done, but it didn't work out at all. So
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But so I don't know. That was one thing that was really, and same thing with like the housing issue, because where I would need a storage unit. I can't bring my stuff to LA. I have so much stuff. Like, I've lived on my own 3 times. And so, like, it would be really, really hard for me to do that. And it just felt like a lot. It was very overwhelming. And I'm like, whoo, like, I don't know if I can do this. And so I did get a storage unit recently, and it got broken into.
Yo, what?
And so my
What?
stuff
Where
is like,
was it?
it was in New Minas.
Oh.
And so, yeah, I was really upset about that. So now I don't want a storage unit ever again. So in my room right now that I have, all of my stuff is packed up in boxes just in my room because I want to move soon. I don't know where I want to go. I don't know what it is yet that I want to do. So I need to figure that out. But my room is just my life packed in boxes. And like, I don't really have my room decorated or anything. I'm waiting for that right moment type thing. And so it would have been hard to find a place to put my stuff. 'Cause I can't keep it with my parents. Like, they have no room to put it anywhere. Like, I don't want to leave it at a friend's house because, what if they move? And another thing with Los Angeles is that they said that if it goes well, I need to stay. And I would be signing a contract and I'd have to stay in Los Angeles. And if I didn't want to stay, I can't leave. And so I didn't want that either. And I don't know if I want to be living in Los Angeles yet. I'm ready for Halifax. Like, I'm ready for Halifax, but I'm not, I'm barely ready for Toronto. Like, I walked through Toronto and I was like, holy shit. Like, what?
People there are rude.
Yes, they are. Love you, Toronto. But are you from Toronto?
Yeah, I'm from Toronto.
Rude.
They think they're from New York, but they're not.
You all hillbillies. Can't even have a storage container.
Was it your stuff in it when it got broken into?
Yeah.
Did they take stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it insured?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I'm very upset about that.
Dang.
But
So we should
it's
keep
okay.
cracking jokes about it is what I'm gathering.
Yeah. I have too much shit anyway. It's fine.
That was the universe.
The universe is like,
You got to get
girl,
rid of
you
it.
bought too many plates with like swirls on them. Like, they need to go. They're probably disappointed with what they found because I'm just like a big thrifter. So they're like,
True.
like, oh my gosh.
I love buying other people's junk.
I know. Me too.
That's why you're friends of the Way of the Road Boys.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Like, did you guys know the way that I met them?
No.
Was it on the road?
No.
We're here for the dad jokes.
I met Way of the Road because I called the cops on them.
Because they're doing a prank?
I was working one day at Value Village, and so
Hold the thought. Way of the Road is a social media group, I would say, and based out of Halifax, who have a good following. Continue.
And so I was working one day, and we started hearing these weird noises, like thumps. And I'm like, all right, what's going on in the back out there? And so my supervisor runs up crying. She's like, oh my God, Adrianna, you need to call the cops right now. There's boys outside throwing axes at the wall. And I'm like, what? What is going on right now? And so she's like, you got to pick up the phone, call 911. Axes, boys outside. They're running now. And I'm like, all right. So I'm on the phone. I'm like, they're like, 911, what's your emergency? I'm like, there's boys outside with axes. We need the cops here.
It was lame.
And so oh my God. And so we look at the footage, the security camera footage. It looks like axes. They were not axes.
Plungers?
These boys were throwing plungers at the wall. And so we look at them. They run across the street to Winners. And they're doing it over at Winners after we call the cops at them. And we're like, they're over there doing it again. And then they ran. Once they saw the cop car, they ran. And so a week later, I'm on TikTok. And this video with like 7 million views pops up of boys throwing plungers at the wall. And I comment, I'm like, damn, I'm the one that called the cops on you. They came into Value Village later on, a couple weeks later, and I saw the Way of the Road sweaters come in. And I look at them and I'm like, yo, nice sweater. And then he was like, Adrianna. And I was like, yeah. But yeah,
Flex
and
on
then they invited me to a party, and I went out and I met them, and yeah,
There you go.
Wow.
Yep.
I'll start with a good cop calling, man.
yeah.
I keep that in mind next time.
And then I went to Montreal with them and everything. Like it was the best trip of my life too. Like, so I'm glad that they did something illegal.
Yeah.
So you become friends.
Yeah.
So when it came to like the whole, going back to,
Yeah.
you seem to know a lot of people because of essentially your TikTok lives.
Yeah.
Or calling the cops on people.
Yeah.
But like, when it came to the California connection, it was because of your TikTok lives.
Yes.
What were you doing that got you so popular?
So on TikTok in general.
Yeah.
So years ago in 2020, I posted a video. This is like weird because every time I tell this story, people are like, that's how you got the followers. I was doing nothing, absolutely nothing, because it's 2020, it's COVID.
Yep.
What are you doing?
True.
But I was stuck in my room. I was like, I'm so bored. Like, what am I going to do right now? And I'm like, I'm going to get back on TikTok because, well, TikTok had just become TikTok because it was Musically. And
Yes.
I had Musically and for years. So the account that I have right now has been alive for years. And so I was Musically kid. And then I switched into TikTok. I'm like, this shit is funny. Like there's like Vine stuff on here now.
Yeah.
There's challenges and there's conspiracy theory stuff. And so I was like, I'm right into that type of stuff. And so one day I just felt stupid. I was like, I'm going to post a video of me saying something like, oh, I know something, but should I really say it? So that's just what it is. That's what it is. It's literally just a video of me saying like, I know some things, but I don't think I should say them. And then the video ends.
Amazing.
3 million views.
No.
And I'm like, that's the first video I really ever posted. And I was like, what is going on right now? Like I cried when it hit 1 million. I was like, what is going on? And all these followers start rolling in. I'm like, holy shit. Like what is going on? And so I started posting conspiracy videos. That's kind of how I started. And then I was like, you know what? People are calling me Shane Dawson. I'm done. Like I ended it. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm caring what people think right now. Like I'm done. And so I tried the basic TikTok girl dance thing. I'm not that. I was like, like I was a dancer for years. I was a competitor with dance and cheerleading, but it wasn't my thing. I could not do the TikTok dances. And then I tried like, the funny stuff. I just tried doing stupid TikToks. Didn't work. And then I started just posting, random things that I thought would become trendy because they're relatable. So it's like things about being in a relationship. If you talk about those types of things, they will most likely blow up because it's like, everyone, or something about being sad and depressed because a lot of people are sad and depressed. And so I kind of got into that type of stuff, and then followers start rolling in. And then it was actually a couple days ago, it would have been a year ago, I posted a TikTok of the Dome. My first time in the Dome, I post this Euphoria song that's playing in the Dome. And
To the club in Halifax.
Yes. The Dome is a club in Halifax.
And it's also home.
Yeah, the Dome is home.
It is so home.
Yikes. You'll regret saying that.
I will. You better freaking clip that out. Oh, God,
Yeah,
we got Philip laughing.
Yeah, we're clipping it and putting it on TikTok.
Okay. Yeah, so I post this video of me on the floor, and it shows the song playing for a second, and then it shows me like, what? Like, I was just kind of like, what? This is playing in the nightclub right now?
Right.
Because Euphoria was popping. Like,
Right.
it was going crazy. And so I posted it, and I'm like, this is going to get views. But another thing I did with it, the video is kind of fake because I take a video of what's going on, the music, everything, some mild little like, woo. I add in a video of like a crowd going like, woo. It sounds insane. So it sounds like we're all going crazy to this song. And then I put the caption, I'm like, but everyone went crazy when they played this Euphoria song. And then
popped.
almost 4 million views now. And then so many followers. And then I would walk through Halifax and people would come up to me and be like, can I get a picture? And I'm like, why?
I'm from Wolfville.
Yeah, like what? And so, and the Dome reached out to me. They were like, we need you. They were like, we want you here. You get a bunch of friends, pull up. You guys all come in for free drinks all night, and you just get to party. I'm like, hell yeah. And it was like that every weekend, and my friends loved me. They were like, oh, are we going to the Dome this weekend? And I'm like, yes.
I guess so.
Yeah. And they're like, you got those drink tickets? And I'm like, yes, I have the drink tickets. You guys can get free drinks. But they had an event, and they were like, here's free tickets for getting us all these customers, because the Dome started doubling in numbers. Like, they were like, we have lineups out the door, people waiting to get in because they can't. We're at capacity right now. We can't let people in. And I'm like,
because of you?
that's me. That's me. But yeah, so
That's wild.
there was this event that gave me the free tickets, and I got to meet Dezeko. He made a song with Post Malone, which is really cool, one of my favorite songs ever. And so I just get to hang out with him on stage while he is doing his thing, DJing, and I'm jamming out, and then I just become family with the Dome. So it really is home.
Dude.
His family's there. So
You're there every weekend.
yeah, literally.
Yeah, because you are the homie for them now, which is interesting because I remember Halloween weekend being brutal for you. Yeah. Just in terms of how many hours you had to put in there.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more what that schedule was looking like?
Oh my God. And so Dome weekends are like 9 p.m. to 4 in the morning. And so that was a lot. And it's when I lived in Halifax, because I don't live in Halifax anymore, but when I did, it was every weekend. Like, I'd be there every weekend from 9 to 4, and I wasn't getting any sleep at all. And sometimes it would turn into after parties. And so, you're like walking home at 7 in the morning, and then I work at 8 at the Funky Flea Market. And I'm like, shoot. Like, Saturday nights were definitely crazy. I was never a party person either. Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of those things. And so being out with a bunch of drunk people was definitely interesting. And being out that late too, I was just kind of like wiped out, and yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
So you weren't drinking at all at any of these?
No.
Oh,
so
that makes it way harder.
Yeah. Well, like, for me, it's different because I just don't drink in general. So I don't know what it's like. And so I've been drunk, I can count on one hand that many times. And so, like, I'll go to an event maybe and have one drink, like, just, celebratory, like, I'll just have a drink.
Right.
But I've seen a lot of people from my school, like, a lot of them were very excited about vaping and drinking and smoking. And so for me, it's just a big thing about being unique. I've always wanted to be unique. That's like another thing that I live by. I'm like, I'm going to be unique. I'm not going to do everything else that everyone is doing. I want to try my best to be as unique as possible. And so that was something that I leaned away from, because everyone in my friend group, we're smoking and we're drinking and we're going out partying. And I'm like, I'm not going to drink. And another thing was just because I don't like how it makes me feel. Like, I don't like that something else can control the way that I'm feeling. And so I've never done drugs, but I have been drugged. And so,
Shoot.
yeah, like,
What was that like?
it was terrifying. And it was the first time I've ever been to a house party. I was drugged, and it was terrifying. And I told myself, I'm like, I'm never drinking alcohol ever again. And the next time I drink alcohol, I'm at, I don't know if I should say the bar, because it's a bar here. I don't want to dump on them or anything.
Right.
But I'm at a Halifax bar, and I get drugged. And
A second time?
and I was paralyzed. And so that was really scary. I couldn't move. And my friends got it as well, but they were like getting sick, and like, it was so bad. And I was like, alcohol is just not for me. Like I thought at first I was like, am I allergic to alcohol? But when my friends started reacting to it, I'm like, okay, I'm not allergic. Like it's drugs. And so, the first time I was drugged, I don't really remember anything. It was a Halloween night and I was wearing like shorts and a t-shirt and it was freezing cold outside, but my friends found me outside at 5 a.m. underneath a car sleeping. And that's all I know. I know there was fights. I know that there was a lot of drugs there. And that's all I know is that they found me under a car. And like, I'm like, I could have died that night, ? Like,
Yeah. What if someone tried to move that car?
I know. And so, yeah, that was a very scary experience, especially it being my first time going out like that. I was like, I'm gonna get the
Way
courage.
to just send it.
Yeah.
Get it all out of your system in one night.
Exactly. And so it was very spooky. Like, especially the next day when people are telling me, like, I don't know how people have fun blacking out because the things that they were telling me.
They don't.
I'm like, I did that? I was like, what?
No, it's regret for the next week.
Oh, God. Yeah, I could never do that. But
This is like the key, though. This is the thing I love about it is like, you know, you're talking about how you have no real interest in it. And this is obviously not meant to dump on anyone who does choose to live that type of lifestyle. But,
oh, yeah, of course.
But there's a reason when you're trying to build up your career, trying to do something unique. There's a reason why like that type of life is a very limited supply for even me and Dalton. Like,
yeah,
we always do our best to be clear-minded all the time because we got work to do out here and we got money to make. There's time to, like, you know, to let loose and have fun, but like even my letting loose and having fun isn't what other people's version of that is.
Yeah.
Mine is just going out, hang out with friends, whatever, yelling at people at a lacrosse game. That's always fun for me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And making fun of the Maple Leafs. No. And so, but these are things you kind of like, I think it's really cool. You kind of like, you've had some tough experiences, but I think it's really cool that it comes natural to you because that's just one less distraction that you have to worry about as you try to pursue your career.
Well, and it's so important too, because you hear a lot of people saying, they're like, I can't have fun unless I have 6 drinks. And I'm like, I don't want that for myself. I want to be able to produce that for myself. Like, I want to be able to have fun. I don't want to have to rely on something to make me happy or to make me bring the fun side of myself out. And so I don't want to, like, I've had fun while I'm drinking, but at the same time, it's like I'm teaching myself how to have fun without that, because I don't ever want to be dependent on it or have it be something that's like, you cannot have fun unless you have this. And so I think it's like a self-control thing for me, because I feel like me personally, I have an addictive personality. So I feel like I would really lean towards that. And just because of like health effects and stuff too, like I want to be healthy, and I've struggled a lot with health problems my whole life. And I never want anything like that to be something that affects my way of living. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy, and I want to enjoy my days. And so being healthy is really important to me as well. Yeah. Because I see what it does to some people, and yeah.
Same regard, while kind of being a promoter for the Dome, do you feel like you ever got people that approached you to get tickets just because they knew that you could get them drinks, and kind of used your kind of fake friendships just for the benefits that you had?
Yeah, 100%. And I've left an entire friend group because of that reason. Like, I found that, they would say some things behind my back, and I would hear that, and I'm like, ouch, I've done a lot for these people. And
would they gossip around you as well about other people?
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I find people who always gossip will gossip about you at some point.
Yep. And so I spend so much time with these people and being so vulnerable with them. And that's something that's really important to me, is that when I share my vulnerable side, I feel like a part of me is just taken away. It's like, I'm just going to take you because you want to be a good friend, or you want to put in the effort to do these things. And so when I'm out doing something, like if I'm out at the Dome or something, my friends would text me and they'd say like, oh, are you at the Dome this weekend? Like, get us in for free. And like,
Dang.
they party every weekend. Like they
Maybe ask how I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. I
Say
would say that
hello.
all the time. And I'd have people text me and I'm like, having a bad weekend. Like, I'm not going to the Dome tonight. I'm just going to lay back and cry because I need to. Like, it's important to feel emotions, everyone. Like, cry. But
I'm still waiting for tears right now.
yeah, I know. But, okay. Yeah, I would have a bad weekend and I would just stay home and I'd get the calls, the texts, the calls. Yes, the calls.
Who calls?
Yeah, like the calls, like, where are you? Aren't you getting us
crazy.
in? And so
That's so
sometimes,
extra.
yeah, and I would get bitched at. They would tell me, they would say like, why aren't you down here? Like, you always get us in. So like, what are you doing at home? And I shouldn't have done this, but sometimes I would go out just to let them in and then I would leave, like go home because I felt bad. And I struggled with friendships my whole life, like I said before. And so I would do these things because I wanted the people to like me. I wanted to be a good friend, but really I was just being bad to myself. And so I had to cut them off because
Straight up.
I didn't want to be treated that way or be someone that's just, like I'm an advantage to them.
Yeah.
And like there's even certain friends that I have offered to work with or like do things with. And, if I do work that I'm like passionate about, I have a lot of potential in it. Like I can work and get stuff done and do it well. If I really put my mind to it, I can do it well. And I can half-ass things all the time. And I do that a lot, but when I really, really want to do something, I can do it well. And, I stress that to them. I'm like, all right, let's get this going. And then they're like, nah. And then they reach out for me. Like they want money. They want all these things. And so I've been broke because I give friends money and, they're like, oh, I need groceries. And then they're like posting videos of them like smoking weed again and they stocked up on their weed. And so.
Oh, if I'm lending someone money, you don't have Uber money. If I catch you with Uber money, I lent you money, it's on. Yeah.
No, I say this thing because I've done things before. I was on the street one day in Halifax and there was a homeless lady telling me that she needed help. And I was like, okay, 100%, like what's going on? And I, just talk with this person for a little bit. And she's like, yeah, my kids need food. We don't have any food. And I'm like, oh my God, kids, like I want to help this woman. Like, and so I'm like, give me your address and I'll bring you food because sometimes I don't like to give money just in case it's like something, people can make things up or like things like that. So I want to, be able to give them what they actually need. And so I was like, yeah, like I will go out and get you things like, and I was good for money then. I was fine. So I was like, of course. And so she gives me the address. I go out and I like got a couple Happy Meals or whatever for the kids, got food. And I go to this place and I knock on the door. I'm like, hey, is so-and-so here? And she's like, nobody with that name lives here. We don't know that name. And so I went to the house and I was really disappointed because I got the food and everything, but it just wasn't a real thing. And so I don't know. It's like sometimes I find it hard to do those things because things like that have happened. Yeah.
Was it on Spring Garden Road?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't know the streets of Halifax well, so, but.
Were you close to McDonald's?
No.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. It sucks that there's shady people in every aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, I've had friends that you know, they know I have money. And so people reach out to me a lot. Even people that I don't even talk to you anymore, and you're asking me to pay for like weird stuff, and I don't know. And it's like sometimes I'll go live on TikTok. And there was this one specific person who saw I was live on TikTok and was just kind of like, oh, like, how are you doing and everything? And like money came up in a conversation that I was having with TikTok Live. I was talking to Jacob, just having a good time. And so I was talking about money, and then afterwards she messages me and she's like, oh, hey, like, I haven't been doing well. Can you please send me money? Basically is what she said. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I don't.
Ask Jacob.
Yeah, ask Jacob. Jacob has more money than me, so DM him. But yeah, I've had a lot of those things, and people that I don't know, I feel like I struggle a lot with friendships and relationships because I'm such an empathetic and caring person, and I want to be there for people, but I feel like they take that away from me in a sense where like they do something shady or yeah.
We can't relate to that at all, can we? Welcome to the game. If there's anything we can encourage you with, it's when you're trying to branch out and do something unique, it's really hard to find people that share in those types of endeavors and want to do those things. That's why me and Dalton are friends, really, is because we both had a shared affection for wanting to be successful and wanting to like, grow in business. And I mean, the most iconic moment, people know about it on the show, those who've been listening to us for a while, was the iconic story of my second vax and losing my mind and literally having an emotional meltdown. It was on the night we were supposed to record, and I couldn't remember anything, could barely remember my own name. It was a rough night, and I just couldn't put words together. And all I could do was, I was already at the studio. I called Dalton. I started crying. I was like, I'm losing it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what this vax did to me. And he was just like, so this is what we're going to do. We're not recording tonight, and we're just going to go get dinner, and we're just going to chill. And I was like, true. And I was like, that's like what I needed, right? And like those are the types of friends we need, and those are people who are on the same path as us. I think that's really key. Exactly.
And what you were saying about the vaccine thing, I just want to go to that for a second because I had a crazy experience too. Like, I was in the hospital.
Jeez.
Like, it was terrifying.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so even when I had COVID, it wasn't any better. The vaccine didn't do anything for me. I'm like, what the hell is this, guys? Because like, I'm chilling here dying. I got my first vaccine. Fine. I was fine. I was doing good. I got Pfizer. The next one, I could only get Moderna.
Same.
They didn't have any Pfizer.
Ghetto, isn't it?
And so, ghetto. So ghetto.
Poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like a clicky thing,
Poor
man. People were
people.
like identifying by the brand of vaccine they got.
I
Yeah,
know.
weird.
I know.
Weird.
They're like, oh,
I'm
you got
2X
Moderna?
Pfizer.
Yeah.
Gag.
But yeah, so I go out and I get my first vaccine. My arm hurt. I was like,
Normal.
this is awesome. And so I go get my second one, and I get home, I fall asleep, I wake up, like I just had a nap, and I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on with me right now? I had the worst stomach pains in my life. I was like, am I pregnant? What is going on? Like, what is
Pfizer really did
happening?
something.
I'm like, what did that Pfizer do to me? Anyway, so I was like, why am I having these stomach pains? They're so bad. And then I'm like throwing up uncontrollably.
Jeez.
And
Oh
like,
my gosh.
couldn't breathe. And I was on the phone with 811. I'm like,
Oh,
what are you guys doing?
they try their
to me?
best.
Oh my God. She's like, yeah, so this is normal. And I'm like,
To you.
I'm screaming to her on the phone. Like, I'm not I don't get mad. I don't get angry, but I'm on the phone. I'm like, this is normal? Like, what the F? Like,
That's messed up.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, girl, you tell me what to do right now. And she's like, just rest and lots of fluids. And I'm like,
And try to breathe.
yeah. And I'm like, I feel like I have COVID right now, miss. Like, what is going on? And she's like, yeah, just rest. And so I did. For the next week. I was so sick. Like
A week?
I was throwing up for a week. I could not eat food, anything. I went to emerge everything. Like I couldn't do anything. And it was horrible.
Yeah, you
and
may as well have just got COVID.
Exactly. I was like, I just took a week off of work and they're not, like, I'm not getting money. They're not
gonna pay
paying me.
you.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, damn. And so I get COVID. And oh boy. So I get COVID and I lost feeling in my legs.
Oh my God.
Like I could not walk. My legs were numb. And like I
Bruh.
couldn't breathe. I could like
You got 2x'd.
yeah.
Jeez.
Yes. And I was so sick and
Do you feel scammed?
I was scammed. It's such a scam.
Oh, I love that.
Oh,
I was
You're blending well into the Elev8 podcast now.
I was scammed so hard, and I'm like, ever since I got the vaccine, I've been so fucking sick. I've been so like I'm not healthy. I cannot be healthy. I just got done. I was in the hospital like a couple weeks ago because I'm just all messed up now. Like I have stomach problems now. I'm curious as to why I still get these weird pains.
You're not pregnant?
No. Thank God. Could not handle a child right now.
True.
But yeah, I have a lot of weird health problems, and now I have something wrong with my lungs. Like apparently my body doesn't produce enough oxygen, and so I have heart problems as well, I guess. And I'm like at risk for blood clots. I'm like,
Oh my God.
what? And so
This
also-
wasn't a thing like 2 years ago for you?
no, it was just randomly out of nowhere, and they're like, oh yeah, you have Tourette's. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, yeah.
What a
that's
stupid thing to say.
I know, but it's true. So like, but like what?
Like COVID gave you Tourette's? Is that what they're trying to say?
I don't know what they're trying to say, but like I have little mini episodes where I'm like ticking around.
I will say
And-
I have a family member who experienced 2 what are called TIAs, which are like mini strokes,
I
only
have
after
like,
having the vaccine.
yeah, I have I don't know if you guys know what like absent seizures are. It's kind of just feels like I'm stuck, and
Yeah.
I'm not shaking or anything, but like I'm just stuck. It happened today, but I think it was because I'm like I was stressed out, anxiety, wanted to throw up. I was like, I'm gonna be on a podcast today. Woo!
Right.
Like woo! But yeah, and so we're just driving in the car, and I'm just like, whoa! But yeah, it used to happen a lot in the past, not so much now. But yeah, just all these weird things out of nowhere after I got this stupid vaccine. Like I have sleep paralysis like 3 times a week. Like
Gee, it just keeps
Is that,
I have
going.
sleep disorders
new
now.
since the vaccine?
Yes.
Wow.
like
Yikes.
terrifying. And so and I have to go see like a sleep specialist or whatever because like it's bad. And so yeah, just
So this is why I got so passionate when the government started mandating that you had to show your vax ID to get into places. I will never forget, and I'm so glad I stood on my ground on this one. But I remember like I did a whole thing. I did like a 3-minute spiel, threw it on TikTok. I got murdered over it, and I'm like, I don't care. This is wrong. This is stupid. What are we doing out here?
I was so for the vaccine when it happened first because I was just like, oh my God, like let's stay safe.
And COVID.
Yeah, and COVID. But then they also came out with the thing that's like, oh, if you get COVID after having the vaccine, it makes COVID stronger because COVID wants to fight you off or something. And so,
Well, it is
Circulation.
also interesting that like just out of nowhere, Biden ended the pandemic in the United States.
Oh, I lived that one.
Yeah, like last week, Biden was like, yeah, it's no longer an emergency. Just
oh,
one random day.
Yeah,
So it was no
and
longer
by last week.
emergency.
I think that was like months ago, right?
do you guys also
No,
think
I thought it
that
was last week.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, true.
I
I thought it
also
was
think
very
that
recent.
COVID is like kind of exaggerated in a way. Like they're like, oh my gosh, people are dying from COVID. It's like they have a heart problem. Like,
Jordan Peterson was interviewing someone who worked for, I guess you'd call it like Health Canada, I guess it would be the name. And he was instructed by government officials that on the death certificate of someone who died with COVID, you could put the main cause of death as COVID. However, what this doctor went on to say was, with every other disease in history, on the death certificate, there's like the main reason, and then there's contributing factors. And you were supposed to put it as a contributing factor. So say you went in with like a pulmonary embolism, but you also had COVID. They're supposed to say cause of death, pulmonary embolism, contributing factor, COVID-19. They were being instructed to put it as the main cause to inflate the amount of deaths.
And so I'm just looking at all this stuff. They're like, oh my gosh, they're piling bodies outside of this hospital. And I'm like,
what?
I'm like, okay, like we're looking at these people that are passing away due to COVID, but then there's also like these like little news articles that are like, you guys aren't looking at the fact that they all have like underlying health conditions. Like people with COPD that get COVID, well, like that's gonna suck.
Yeah, the flu
like,
could also take them out.
Exactly. And so like, yes, COVID did wipe me out. It was weird. But
it's a real disease. Yeah, we're not debating. Yeah, that's not for debate. Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just kind of like,
Yeah, maybe I should have just let my body fight it off.
Yeah.
And then ride the next, 3 months with the antibodies.
Yeah.
Like pretty much every
Oh,
other
and then I got
disease.
mono right after I had COVID.
Bruh, mono's not fun either.
No, mono ruined me. Like, and my doctor's like, oh yeah, by the way, in the next like year and a half, it might flare up.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what? And so I got like, I was supposed to do this, the event that I did, the one where I was teaching social media tips and all that stuff. My mono had flared up. And so I had a fever that whole time. And so I'm like, I did that whole thing with like fever, body aches, and I like feel like I haven't slept in 5.5 years.
What a soldier.
It was crazy. And then right after, like, it was still flared up. And then 2 days after the event, I got laryngitis. And so I lost my voice completely. That's never happened to me before. Like, it was gone. I was trying to talk. I have videos of me trying to talk. And it's just like, I sound like this. Like, I was talking. I'm like, hey, guys, like, I can't speak right now. Like, my voice was completely gone. And so, yeah, I'm just, like, a sick person. Like, I'm...
Dude,
in
I'm
any way
sorry.
possible, but like, yeah,
Dude.
I just like ever since COVID, I'm just always sick with something. Like something's always going on.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it also could be like no one got sick for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And our bodies like forgets how to like maybe fight things. I don't know. I don't know the science
Really,
behind
yeah,
that,
because
but
I wasn't sick. I was on a roll. I was like, yeah, I haven't gotten sick in so long. And then like I got a mini cold and I was like, oh, COVID.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, no. And so like the amount of COVID tests I've taken in my life now, like,
I'm
whoa.
so done.
Yeah, I'm done with this bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
Yeah, it was like kind of similar. Kind of like it was last year. This time last year, I had like a string of us constantly getting sick, and I think that was just my body getting used to normal life again. But
Yes.
since like this time last year, I have not been sick since because I'm at the point where I'm just gonna allow my body to fight it. I also have some ancient Chinese recipes that I rely on if I even feel like something's going on. I suck that sucker back. But like it's just really relying on like natural foods and natural medications, super critical. Obviously there's times that you do need antibiotics, but like do your best to like use natural stuff.
I'm
to, like,
scared
heal
of
your body.
antibiotics. They kind of scare me.
Do you know something that I was doing that I didn't realize until Hannah told me was I would take my antibiotic just until I felt good. I wouldn't finish the whole prescription. Apparently that's really bad.
It is really bad.
Because you can build
idiot.
up antibiotic resistance.
Yeah.
And I've never finished an entire prescription of antibiotics.
One thing, so medication just scares me, like altogether. Just because of how, I don't know, it's just weird. Like things can change how I'm like doing. Like I'm just like, ugh, gross.
Right.
But like, so when I was taking antidepressants, I tried it for the first time a couple of years ago. Was not doing good at all. I was having a lot of bad thoughts, like depression. We all know how it gets sometimes. So yeah, I start going to therapy and I'm on this medication. She's like, yeah, by the way, if you're experiencing bad thoughts, it may make them worse if you're taking this just for a week or so. And so I'm like,
Gee.
okay. And so I start taking these pills and all of the side effects on the bottle I have. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I'm throwing up. It's coming out the other end.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I'm not doing good. I can't sleep. I'm having
You're like in the
weird
trenches.
nightmares. Yes. And like sleep paralysis, I can hear shit now. And I'm like, am I schizophrenic? Like, what's going on? I'm scared. Like, I thought I was schizophrenic because I kept hearing things, but it was just sleep paralysis. And so
Wow.
I was so scared. I was like, what is medication? What is it doing to me right now? And so one thing with the medication was the weird dreams I was having. I started having these weird dreams about me dying. And so it was like, I call my mom and I'm like, Mom, I just had this dream. I was hiking this hill with my friends and it's all of my best friends, all of my family, like everyone I love is just with me. And we're walking and then I slip off this cliff and I'm holding onto this branch and it's just everyone's there. And then they're waving goodbye and they just leave.
Gee.
And I'm left alone and I'm like, what the hell? The night after, I have a dream. I'm sitting in this house and it's burning down. I'm sitting in a circle of fire with all of these letters that I'm just reading from my friends and family. And they're like, goodbye. Like, it was nice to know you. These are my favorite things about you. And like, you're an amazing person. And I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And it felt so real. Like, I feel like I'm literally in it. And then a firefighter comes in and he takes me out and he shows me all of my friends and family are standing there outside by their cars with suitcases and they're waving goodbye. And I'm like, what is going on right now? And then this firefighter takes off the helmet and it's me. Like, I'm looking at myself. That's weird. Yeah. And so after that, I kind of just got into this mindset. I was like, I need to be there for myself. Is this me telling me like, fuck medication? We're going to self-love instead of trying to take this stuff. So
Interesting.
So I stopped taking medication and I was very happy about the results afterwards because I wasn't throwing up and shitting everywhere. So
Yeah.
Good call.
yeah. So that was great.
Dang, dog.
I have some weird dreams.
No kidding. That's
Yeah.
eerie.
Yeah.
I want to hit on one last thing before we bounce.
Oh yeah.
Is so back to the California stuff.
Oh yeah.
This is just me. This is just talking as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever allow yourself to not take an opportunity because of stuff getting in the way.
Yeah, you're right about that.
For your like the second reason why you didn't go makes a lot of sense. Like if you end up having to be stuck there, you don't want to be there. I get that.
Yeah.
But just like logistics not getting figured out, don't let that stuff ever get in the way ever again.
Okay. Yeah.
Do it scared.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Facing fears is a good thing. I love that.
Totally got you, dog.
Mm-hmm.
Last question. Sorry.
One more last thing.
Is now we're just having some fun.
Yeah.
Is what was your view of the Elev8 podcast before we met?
I was terrified. So I was like, after we met, I was terrified. When I saw it before, I was like, this is fucking cool. Like, so for me, being as isolated as I was, I didn't really do anything, go anywhere. Like my first time in Halifax was 2 years ago. I'd never seen a city before in my life.
Wow.
I'd never been out. Yeah. So I was very isolated. I didn't really go anywhere. And so with me coming up doing music and all that stuff, I didn't really think people around here did podcasts or music or any of that stuff. And so when I see you guys, I'm just like, oh, like it's just another podcast from California. And then I'm like, wait, this is Halifax. They're talking about Halifax stuff. And I'm like, oh, and I'm sitting there scrolling through it. I'm like, this is so cool. People actually do this shit. Like, and so for me, it was inspiring because, you know, I didn't really get to do any of those things or see those things happening around me. And like from me being such a small town person, going to a school that was literally placed beside a cornfield, there was nothing.
Oh my gosh.
I had nothing. And so I start coming into this world and I see this and I'm like, this is so cool.
Dude. Wow, that's awesome.
And now I'm starting a podcast because you guys inspired me. So I'm like,
Oh, let's go.
Straight
yeah,
up.
yeah, because I see you guys doing this stuff and I'm like, I'm capable of it. I can do it. They're doing it.
Yeah, baby.
Like, I'm gonna get into it and try it out, see how I like it. Because one thing that I really want to do is guided meditations. I've had a lot of people tell me, they're like,
Have you ever done them?
yes.
Okay.
So I've had friends say like, oh my God, I love your voice, or like the way you talk is so calming. Like I would listen to you if like this is meditation for me. And so
You could have a niche market of doing the ones that people fall asleep to like tap into the subconscious mind.
yeah. Yeah.
Like use the good voice with your like oh my gosh, the name is slipping me now. The motivational
Yeah.
yeah, like combining that with the voice is like
I love to do motivational work. And that's like, you know, I go into high schools and they have assemblies just so I can go in and talk to the kids and like tell them, I'm like, guys, follow your dreams, do the things you love. This is where I was. Look at me now. I used to be you. Like, you can do this too. And so like I go into classes too with the students and we just talk about, like, it's like I'm mentoring them in a way. It's like, what are your hopes and dreams? What do you love? Because I always follow that little saying that I have. It's like, do what you love and money will follow. And I just sit with them and they're so surprised to see someone so young coming to talk to them about, you know, life and all the things that I've done so far. And I just see them light right up and it makes me so happy. Like
That's
it makes me feel so good. And like, that's so fulfilling for me to know that I'm impacting lives.
yes.
But
Absolutely.
I don't even know where I was going with that, but I just,
Do you know
I
what you're going to
said
call
it.
your podcast?
It's called Perspectives.
Perspective.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. It's just kind of gonna touch on some, you know, how I think and things that I've been through and my take on them and what I've learned. And that's what my book is too. My book will be more in depth. Like, it will really tell my story about what I've been through and the things that I've tackled. But, you know, the first part of the book is just kind of going to be me talking and telling that story. But then the second half is going to be a guided journal where they can tell their story next. So it's like, I just told mine, tell me yours and write it out. What are you learning? Like, what do you want in your life? Like, what are your goals? So yeah.
Sick.
awesome.
That's awesome.
We're excited for you, and we're glad that we could bring you on and kind of have these discussions and see where you're at and where
Yeah.
you're going, and obviously, you know, seeing what we can do to help out the homies out there in this tough time, and
Of course.
pursuing their dreams.
Yes.
The money will follow.
Yes. Follow your dreams.
Don't let
guys.
your dreams be memes.
Don't care what other people think. Of course, if it's something really important and you have to care what they think, for sure, do it. But don't care what people think. Do what you love because you love to do it.
True. And on that note,
Straight up.
we are out here for it. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can they follow you?
They can follow me on Instagram, on TikTok. My Instagram is Adrianna, but it's ADRIAXNNXA. And it's the same for my TikTok as well.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Follow her, y'all homies. And on that note, whether you be crying over the Leafs loss,
Oh my gosh, we're going to the Dome.
Or writing a book.
Oh,
whatever it is you're doing,
wherever you are.
we love you.
We're out.
Peace.